Hello, class, and welcome back. Hopefully your family and you are healthy and taking care of yourselves. Today, what I'd like you to do is if you haven't already, to go to your Google form, and if you haven't submitted that already, I submitted it by email and by Google Classroom, but it was a Google form based on area and perimeter. If you haven't tried that out, maybe it's a good chance to do that now. You can hit pause on this video and go back and try those. What I want to do today is kind of go through the solutions to those questions I submitted to you. I know some of you have submitted answers to that, and thank you for that, but I'm going to go through the answers. So if you want to go open up that Google form and kind of see what the questions were, they might have been randomized, but I'm going to go in the order that I submitted them, so you can kind of check through and see if your answer is right or wrong. But these were based on perimeter, circumference, and area for different, polygons and, different shapes. We're going to go through the rules and formulas as we kind of go, but I'm going to just kind of walk through every problem. I think there was 19 total questions, but it was basically like 5-6 questions, but I just kind of broke up multiple questions on the same picture. But yeah, we're going to go through this. This will be kind of the format we're going to do for the next couple weeks here, where I, submit an activity or, a video on Monday or Sunday night, and then, every other day kind of give you another activity or another video you can look at, and by the end of the week give you the answers to them so that you kind of know if you did it right or wrong. So get instant feedback, I guess, or delayed feedback, but at least you get to try it. But let's kind of walk through this. Let's jump right in, and hopefully you can keep up with me here. So the first one that we had was, it was a square. It was 11 feet by 11 feet. And I want to go through, the first question was based on perimeter. So the perimeters, you just add up these 11s. So you should get 44. You should add up all 4 of these 11s, and your label should have been feet. Now, you didn't have to put that on the Google form. You could just entered 44 and moved on to the next one. So that should have been the first question out of the 19, I guess. The second question, you had to find area. So to find area of this, you just take the 11 times 11. You take the length and width and multiply them together. You should get 121. Now, the label is feet squared. That would be the area. So that was the first 2 questions out of the 19. It was based on a square. Same formula for a rectangle. For perimeter, you add up the 4 walls. For area, you just find length and width and multiply them together. But that was the first question. Hopefully you got those 2 right. Let's move on to the second question. I'm going to switch up the color, kind of erase the work that I've done here. The second question we had, it was based on a circle. Now, on this circle, they gave you a diameter. How they knew that? Because they drew the whole line. The whole thing was 12.8 centimeters. So the first thing we have to do is figure out the circumference. So circumference formula, if you don't remember, is 2 times pi times r. Or if you just rearrange these, 2r pi, that is diameter times pi. That's 2r's. We talked about that in class. So diameter, in my case, is the 12.8, and we take that times pi. So if you take 12.8 times pi in a calculator, I'm going to type that into mine, I got 40.21, and this would be centimeters. Now, if you typed in 3.14 instead of pi, I would have accepted a bunch of different answers, but it should have been around the 40 point something mark. But there's the next question. That was circumference. Now, if the area for a circle, this is for area, you have to take pi r squared. So I do actually have to find the radius on this one. So it's half the diameter. The diameter is 12.8, so the radius should be 6.4 centimeters. I have to square it and then take it times pi. So 6.4 squared, you take 6.4 times itself, and then I'm going to take it times pi. And, most calculators have a pi button, 3.14, but it should have been 128.67-ish. You could have rounded, but the answer should be centimeters squared. That's how many little square centimeters fit in there. Again, it would have been a different decimal if you actually typed in pi as 3.14 as opposed to what I did. I used the pi button. But there you go. That was the next 2 questions out of the 19 that you had based on circles. All right, let's go to the next one here. I'll switch up the color of my pen here again. Next one was based on a triangle. I tried to do kind of one of each type. Actually, 2 of each type. But yeah, let's kind of walk through this next one. This next one was a triangle. It was 8 meters, I think 15 meters, and 17 meters. All right, now for perimeter, you add up these 3 numbers. So 15 plus 8 plus 17. So plus 17, I got 40. So 40 total meters for the perimeter. Again, perimeter is the fence line, so you just add them up. Now for area, you take the length times width, or base times height, and then you cut it in half. So it's half the base times height. Now the base and height is the 15 and the 8. How I know that, base and height have to be at a 90-degree angle from each other. So they have to be at a right angle. So those are my two that I'm using. So 15 times 8 is a big number, and then I have to cut that in half, so divide by 2. And so I should get 60 meters squared. That's how many little square meters will fit inside that object. So there you go. That was the next two questions out of your 19. All right, let's go to the next ones. This was based on a rectangle, I believe. I'm going to switch up the color here. All right. So let's go to a rectangle. Dimensions on this one, I think were 1.1 and 2 point something. Yeah. So 1.1, 1.1 meters, and 2.8 meters. So that was the rectangle that we have here. So perimeter of this thing, we'd add up the walls. So remember, on a rectangle, the opposite walls are equal. So you can add those all up, 1.1 plus 1.1 plus 2.8 plus 2.8, just add up all four walls, and I get 7.8 meters. Now for area, you just multiply length times width. So 2.8 times 1.1. And if we do that, 2.8 times 1.1, I should get 3.08 meters squared. So there's your area. So that was the next two problems out of your 19. Okay, let's switch up the color again. And let's go to the circle problem now. The circle problem that we have, I believe they gave us diameter again. The total diameter on this problem was 8. It was 8 inches all the way across. All the way, and again, how they denoted that is because they used the diameter of the line all the way across. So, circumference 2 times pi times r, or it's diameter times pi. So in my case, I'm taking 8 inches times pi. That's the best way I can do it. Diameter times pi. So 8 times pi on a calculator. I'm getting 25.13 inches. Again, I use the pi button, but if it should be around 25 or 24-ish. So now for area, you take pi times r squared. So in my case, the radius is 4 inches, because it's half the diameter. I square it, and then take it times pi. So that should be 4 times 4 is 16, and I take that times the pi button, and I should get 50.26 inches squared. Again, I use the pi button instead of just typing in 3.14. All right, so that was the next one. Okay, so now we're moving on to a rectangle, a square, I believe, again. I'll switch up the color again. Okay, so this square that we had, I think it was 6.5 inches. 6.5 inches. All right, so for perimeter, you add up all the 6.5s together, so 6.5 times 4 of them, or just add them all up, and it should be 26 inches total. And then for area, you just multiply the 6.5 times 6.5, and that should be inches squared. That's how many little square tiles there are. But 6.5 times 6.5 for area is 42.25 square inches. So there's your perimeter and area. Those are the next two questions. I'll switch up the color again here. All right, the next one was a circle, and I believe they gave us radius on this one, so they gave me 5.8 centimeters. Okay, so for circumference here, 2 times pi times r. So in my case, 2 times pi times the 5.8 centimeters. So now if I actually type that in, 5.8 times 2 times pi, it doesn't matter the order you type it, but I should get 36.44 centimeters. That's your circumference, or the distance around. And then for area, it's pi r squared. So I have to take the 5.8 centimeters, square it, and then take it times pi. So 5.8 times 5.8 times the pi, I get 105.68 centimeters squared. So there's your area. That's how many little square tiles fit in the inside. All right, we have 2 problems left. I believe they're based on triangles. This next one had like 3 questions based on it. It was a triangle where they only gave you 2 of the walls, so you had to find the third one by yourself using Pythagorean theorem. Let me switch up the color again. All right, so this triangle, it was a right triangle. They gave me one of the sides was 6.5 centimeters. The other side was 4.5 centimeters. Now, again, I said I was missing one of the walls because it's a right triangle, so you can do the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And again, the A and B are the 2 walls that touch the 90, so I knew that was the 6.5 and 4.5. So if I square those, 6.5 times 6.5, that was 42.25. And the 4.5 times 4.5, you can just hit the square button if you have one of those on your calculator. I get those 2 numbers. I have to add those 2 together, so I should get 62.5. And then I have to take the square root of that because I have to get rid of the little power of 2. Now on your calculator, again, if you have a cell phone, just turn your cell phone sideways and it'll give you the squared keys. But you can type in, your 62.5 and take the square root of that, and I should get 7.9-ish. So that's, what is that in centimeters? So 7.9. And that's your third wall. And it made sense. The hypotenuse is the longest wall, so it was longer than the other 2. So there's your third wall. Now I can go ahead and answer the question that the Google form asked. It asked for a perimeter, so I can add up all 3 of these numbers. So for the perimeter, I'm adding 4.5 plus the 6.5 plus the 7.9. And this will be in centimeters. So if I do that, 7.9 plus 6.5 plus 4.5, I'm getting 18.9. There's your perimeter. And then for area, you just take the length times width or base times height and cut it in half. Well, my base and height, again, I said they have to be touching the 90, so it's your 2 legs. So 4.5 times the 6.5. Those are your 2, base and height. So 4.5 times 6.5, and then divide that by 2 or cut in half. It ends up being 14.63-ish. That's in centimeters squared. There's your area. That's how many little square tiles will fit in there. All right, we only have one more problem left. It's a triangle again. They gave me, a lot on this one. They gave me a bunch of parts to it, but hopefully this last one made sense. You had to find the third wall before it could even start. All right. Last one based on a triangle. They gave me too many numbers on this problem, which is always kind of nice. Okay, so this one was a kind of an obtuse triangle. It was something like this, where I believe these were in feet. Feet. And then they gave me the height kind of off to the side because it was out there. And this height was 8 feet. Okay. All right, so now going through the numbers. So the perimeter, and this is the triangle that's over here. This is the triangle. Ignoring the 8 feet. I don't need that for right now. The perimeter, you take 5 plus 12 plus 16. So again, 5 plus 12 plus 16. What do we get? 33 total feet. That's perimeter. Totally spelled feet wrong. All right, there you go. And then for area, you take half the base times height. Well, the height is 8 feet. That's where the 8 comes in. It's the actual height of the triangle times the base, which is 5 feet. So base times height. This ends up being 40, and then you cut that in half, and this ends up being 20 feet squared. That's how many little square tiles will fit in there. All right, there's all the answers for all 19 questions on that Google form. Sunday night, Monday morning, I'll submit another Google form to you with some, other questions. I think we're going to go into 3-dimensional parts on that one. And then maybe later in the week, I'll give you other options and answers later in the week. We'll kind of continue this format until, proven otherwise. All right. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully your family is well. Take care of yourself, and I will see you later.